Hello guys and welcome to episode 2 of the FIFA career mode I'm doing with Tottenham Hotspur. I introduced everything last time, and as I said, this time I'm going to go through the global transfer network, how to use scouts, what I'm going to do with that, and then also the tactics I'm going to use for the Spurs team and why I'm setting up in that way. And then obviously I'm going to try and make a few signings. The signings I make at the beginning will not be from the global transfer network, as that's my phone. Should have really put that on silent. But no, the transfers that I make from the Global Transfer Network will probably come in January or the start of next season, as currently it's going to take me a while to find out information about various players that I might want to sign, because obviously you have to send your scouts out and they are going to find players depending on what I tell them to do. So the players I'm going to buy are going to be ones that I already know or I would quite like from the world of football. And then obviously from January onwards, or as my scouts bring in reports, I will explain what exactly they mean, how to improve on them, and how that eventually leads to you buying a player. But obviously first we need to know who we want in the squad and who we don't. So I'm going to start with merely my formation. So as you can see, I've got a couple of custom formations, but the one I'm going to use for this one is custom 5. It's 4-3-3. And I will briefly show you where all the basic positions are. So I've just got a flat back four, going to work like any other back four, goalkeeper obviously, and then I've got a holding player who's going to be Sandro, who's going to be or central defensive midfielder. I've got a central attacking midfielder who's going to sit higher up, and then I've got in between the two a left-sided midfielder. And then obviously my front three is a right winger, a left winger, and a striker. Now obviously all the players are mixed about, but Townsend would probably go on the right wing, Sigurdsson would be the central attacking midfielder, Paulinho would be more the box-to-box player who cycles between the two, Soldado would be up front, Holtby would probably be replaced by one of the other wingers, maybe they've got Nasser Chadli somewhere, there he is, probably Nasser Chadli. Put him on the left, and I would probably drop Townsend for Lamela, and Eriksson will come in for Sigurdsson. So that's kind of what I want, so I've got all my ratings there. And then obviously left back, this guy's 75, so he's not rated huge, but I think he's quite young, so he'll improve. At least I hope he's young. Danny Rose can go there. He's 23, yes, so he can improve if I play him a bit. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be my starting 11. Now I'll explain exactly what each of those players are doing now by going into edit here. And if I go on to work rate, you'll see that the whole team is working pretty hard. Blue basically indicates high work rate, yellow is medium work rate, and then obviously red is low work rate. The direction that the arrow is pointing with the colour is how much they are going to do in a certain direction. So if I leave this player and say go to Sandro and go on his work rate, you'll see attack is medium, so his arrow is yellow, and defence is high, so his arrow is going to be blue. Now the reason why I've got almost everyone with high effort is I want to play a system that's going to press the opposition in order to get the ball back. Spurs do this a little bit. A more extreme example in the Premier League would be Southampton, or obviously Barcelona, who want to, the minute the opponent gets the ball, get a couple of players running at them, crowd them out to force them into a mistake either by a bad pass or get close enough to make a challenge and take the ball from them, to limit the amount of possession the opposition had. And therefore the idea is obviously to make sure you don't concede too many goals, because if you've got the ball, normally you don't concede unless one of your players decides that they don't like your team, in which case you might concede. So basically quite a high work rate for everyone. And then obviously defenders, medium attacking work rate because they need to focus on defending. My holding player also medium attacking because again needs to focus on defending. And then all the attacking players from the central attacking midfielder to the 3 forward players are all going to be mainly attacking and medium effort in terms of defending. I edited this from the basic 4-2-3, I think. 4-2-1-3, and obviously changed the players around so that the holding player was slightly lower to cover the gap in the defence left by the central attacking midfielder Eriksson here. And to compensate for that, if you look at positioning, you see in defensive phases of play, this holding player is going to drop as deep as possible. Now, I don't really want him as part of the back three, But the way FIFA works, if you don't do that, he tends to venture off forward, so that when you do have to defend, he's a little bit far up the pitch, and then you get caught on the break because he's not defending the area you should be. So that's more to compensate for FIFA rather than what he's actually meant to do. Now the important one here is the two wing backs I want to push forward, because obviously we've only got a midfield three, so we're going to lack width. So that's to give them an option when we're going forward and to support the midfielders so that they can help the strikers out better. You can see my central midfielder in between the other two green dots. He's going to push forward and backwards. He's going to act like a box-to-box player. In attacking phases of play, he's going to help out the attacking players, the strikers, and in defensive phase of play, he's going to drop in alongside my central defensive midfielder. So I've got two holding players, so it acts more like a back four with two defensive midfielders. So he's obviously going to need to be quick and energetic and also quite powerful in order to be good in an attacking phase of play and in a defensive phase of play. Now I've got the two attacking wingers to cut in because I want to play them as inverted wingers. So sort of like Ronaldo at Real Madrid, they need to be able to cut inside and shoot on their stronger foot. So if they're on the left side or playing left wing, then they need to have a good right foot, and if they're playing on the right wing, then they need to have a good left foot. Obviously it's also nice if their weak foot's quite good so that they can cross in if Soldado or whoever you've got up front has some space. But primarily I want to be playing the ball along the ground and only picking out Soldado if I really have to, because he's a bit of a smaller player, a bit more technically gifted, so in the air he might struggle against some defences. Now that particular formation is then linked to a custom tactic, which is essentially the style of play I want. And this is from my Real Madrid career mode, so it's just custom 5 Real Madrid. If you notice, my formations are set up so that formation, say number 5, goes with custom tactic 5, so that it's easy to pick up and know what one you're doing. Now, you've got various different options. So you've got speed, is obviously how quickly the players want to pass. Now, I want a kind of balance. So I want them to pass reasonably quickly, but the style of passing I would quite like to be short. So that's at the lower end of the scale. Barca, I think, play passing of 20, so that'd be really, really short, and also have a slightly slower tempo because I want to keep possession. Whereas I want a quick pressing game, but when I get the ball, I also want to play quite quickly. So we're going to be quite frenetic and energetic in the other team's face, a little bit like Dortmund under Jurgen Klopp. And then chance creation, I want reasonably safe passes because on build-up play I want freeform, so that all my players move into space and swap positions wherever necessary, because I think they're all good enough players to do that. And it also means I would be able to keep the ball better because players will be easier to pick out in organised, then it's a little bit tricky. They're going to stick to their position, which means if the opponent is marking or defending well against certain players, they're not going to go seek space or swap with each other when they make a run. Passing, as I said, safe. Crossing, as I said before, because I'm only playing one striker and he's not going to be particularly physical, that isn't going to get me as many goals as I would like, so I'm going to reduce that down to about 35. You can obviously reduce it to almost 0, or if you're playing maybe in a 4-4-2 and you want fast wingers and big strikers, you can put that up to 90 and just keep crossing in. Now, shooting, I want quite a few shots because obviously I've got my 2 inverted wingers who obviously have their stronger foot to shoot to the far side of the goal, near side, depending on the situation. And then obviously the striker and the central attacking midfielder should provide some shots as well. And basically the idea is to quickly pass, get a small opening and then shoot, try our chances. Then obviously when they get the ball back again, press them hard and try and win it back to generate another chance. And again, it's free form, so my players seek space and try and exploit as much as possible with the other team's defence by stretching it or just putting themselves in positions they wouldn't normally stand in, just in case they catch a mistake, so that they can create a chance for themselves. Now, as you can see, pressure is badly named. Well, no, it affects how high up the pitch, but it really affects how deep the defensive line is on this FIFA. So basically 60, so I want a fairly high line, and then aggression tends to be more how you actually press the ball. So this is my team wanting to press in quite a few numbers. So basically, if the holding player's going towards a defender, an attacker, then hopefully my other midfielder who is going to be box to box will come and help him out, just close the space down as quickly as possible and regain the ball. Width, I still want the team to be reasonably wide because I've got wingers who can exploit the flanks, and obviously they're quite quick, but not very very wide. I still need to keep it quite close together to help my midfield trio so that they can pass the balls to either my wing backs or my wingers. And then I've got the defensive line on cover, so instead of playing the offside trap and pushing up as a unit, if one of my wing backs is out of position, the holding player, one of the centre backs, will try and cover the gap left in the back four in order to maintain a decent defensive line. Sometimes with a high line it's good to play the offside trap and can be quite effective, but I find on FIFA I defend better when they're using cover. I've had a couple of problems with just balls over the top using the offside trap, because sometimes the game doesn't organise it as well as it could do, and obviously sometimes I make mistakes, so that's what I've gone with. Can exit without saving. So obviously you see here we've got Loris in goal, 84, he's very good. You can obviously see his goalkeeping stats, his diving, handling, kicking, reflexes and position. He's also affected by reactions, which is basically how quickly he's going to be alert to something, and jumping for goalkeeper is also reasonably good depending on how high they can come to catch the ball, if they're intercepting a cross or getting any sort of high ball in the box. Now, Walker is my right back, and I want to keep him. I think he's only 23, 24. Do I have a look? Yeah, he's 23, so he's going to improve. And then obviously he's got good stats in the way that I want my wing backs to get forward. So he's got acceleration and sprint speed that's going to be useful for me. He's reasonably strong as 79, not hugely, but his pace will actually help him to outmuscle players, even though he's not got a massive amount of strength, because this FIFA works a lot of momentum. It's kind of a balance between a player's pace and a player's strength, and obviously where you tackle, but those two stats are going to affect how easily a player can get the ball back. And then obviously aggression is how he's going to go into challenges, and then interceptions is how well he sees balls being played at the top and whether he can get to them. For everything else, he's got very average stats. Everything everything's kind of 70 that's important. Long passing, a little bit lower. Finishing obviously 50, but he's a defender, so that doesn't really need to be that high. Oh, sorry, swap to Dawson. Right, and then you can see here standing and sliding tackling, they're pretty good, so I'm happy with him in that position. Dawson, he's a centre back, so he doesn't need to be as quick, but 49 acceleration and 51 sprint speed is especially slow. His strength 82 is okay. Again, jumping 80 is going to be pretty decent because he's going to have to win balls in the air. If I compare him to Vertonghen's slightly quicker. So, as I said, with tackling, it's kind of a mix between their pace and their strength. So he's going to be better at doing that, and he's overall a bit better. Everything being 3 points, rating points high. That's kind of more the speed I like my centre-backs at. I think Dawson might be a little slow. That can be countered by the fact that he has aggression 85, his interceptions 79. Now, if his interception, I think if you play with John Terry, his interceptions are about 85 to 90. He would be much better, even though he's slow, at making sure he's in the right place. And then obviously there's reactions 77 to the change in situation. If that was higher, again, even though he's slow, that would help you, or help the player to be able to defend properly without necessarily being the quickest. And again, I want him, his heading accuracy you need, and it will be good not only when he's heading out crosses from the opposition team, but also when I've got set pieces from crosses, then two decent centre backs with really good heading accuracy can help you score goals at the other end of the pitch. And then obviously again, good standing tackle. Vertonghen here again is kind of like Dawson. He's not the quickest, but he's got very good stats overall. He's good at heading, he's got decent short passing, he's standing and sliding tackle and near 80 again. He's got even better interceptions of 84, so he's not only going to be pretty quick, but he's going to see the play develop and be able to intercept things well. And then obviously he's a little bit quicker, so he's going to compensate for that. Danny Rose is physically pretty decent for a youngster. He's quick, he's got good balance. He's again not very strong, 71, but he's quite young, so he's going to improve. I can check his age. Yep, he's 22, so that's going to improve. But he is the worst or the weak point I would highlight in my defence. So I think a left back may be one of the players that I look to buy in, and obviously I will swap Danny Rose and the other left back so that Danny Rose improves and the other left back doesn't get annoyed at not being played enough, and then eventually obviously Danny Rose may get good enough to replace the left back I bring in, or maybe Danny Rose will just have to be sold on because he's going to rise to make it in the first team. And then obviously other things you've got, he's going to put high work rate in defensively, in attacking phase of play, which is good. I want my wing backs to push forward, and then in defensive phase of play, medium. Weak foot and skills don't particularly matter for defenders. I find them more important in attacking players than in defensive players, but you might want to get players who've got good weak foot all over the pitch. And then, yeah, as you can see, Vertonghen again likes to get forward as a centre-back. That may cause me problems because it may leave me open at the back if he pushes forward and leaves space in behind, but he's still my best defender and he's got good interception, so I think he'll be fine. Obviously Dawson, he's more defensively minded, he's going to remain back more, not so keen on getting forward. Kyle Walker, again, like Danny Rose, wants to get forward a lot, not so keen on defending, but I want that from my team so that they make sure I've got good pressure and width. Now, my holding player is Sandro. Defensive work rate high, I think that's important so that he's kind of like the anchor man to cover for anyone who's out of position and also to intercept balls before a striker gets to the back four. So obviously, like the defenders, he needs to have good tackling, which he does. And he also needs to be good at intercepting, which 86 is the best I've seen so far, and aggression. He's going to go in for the balls as hard as he can to regain it. And obviously he's got decent strength. He's not the quickest player, but what I found is in this formation when I was playing with Madrid, I used Sami Khedira and Xavi Alonso interchangeably in that role, and they both performed it pretty well. So I think Sandro is going to, even though he's not got a huge amount of pace, he's going to be fine in that position. I'll move on to Paulinho. Now he's going to be my player who's going to be box to box. Attacking phase of play, he wants to get forward in more of a central attacking midfielder's position. Defensive phases of play, he wants to drop inside alongside Sandro. Again, he's got 92 stamina. This is good because obviously he's going to do loads of running. He's not super quick, but he's not sluggish either. He's got pace of 76 and sprint speed of 78, and he's also got 71 strength, so he's not that strong, but he's going to be able to keep running for the whole game, and that's what I really want from him. And also, if you look here, he's very good at reading the game. Interceptions of 82, attacking positioning 81, and vision 80. So not only can he pick a pass, but he can also intercept at the back, which is exactly what I want from him, as he's got to go forward, create some stuff at the attacking end of the field, but also, as I said before, aid defensively. And then getting ball control, more important for the midfield players. Obviously you need to keep possession, and then also finishing is going to be higher. All of his stats are very decent for a player of what I want to do, very well-rounded. A bit like maybe Steven Gerrard a couple of years ago for Liverpool. Can kind of defend, he can attack, do everything in between, and obviously short passing is going to be very good. Now my attacking midfielder is going to be Eriksen. Here obviously vision and attacking positioning quite important, whereas interceptions and aggression not so much. Physically he's very quick. He's not particularly strong, but he doesn't need to be. For him it's more about receiving the ball in good positions, passing it on quickly, or having a chance on goal, not holding the ball up for long periods of time. So his lack of strength isn't really a problem here. If I go to his player information, now he's got weak foot of 5 stars, meaning no matter what foot I shoot on, he's going to be able to hit it really well. He's, again, attacking work rate is going to be high, which is what I want from him, and skill moves 4-star. Now, I don't normally use skill moves, or in fact, don't use them at all. I normally use sort of touches and speed of passing to get past people. I still find it helps in terms of how a player takes their touch, and also when you're using, say, L2, or left trigger on an Xbox controller in order to control the ball and get past people. This skill rating helps. And he can play also in central midfield, but he's not really the kind of player that I would want playing there. And then I move on to Eric Lamela, right winger or central attacking midfielder. Attacking work rate medium, defensive medium, that's not so important. Weak foot, okay, 3 stars, it's okay, but it's not great. He's young, so it's going to improve, just like Eriksen. But what is important is, you'll see there, his foot is left, and he's playing on the right-hand side. This means, like I said, he can cut in, grab a chance on goal, and hopefully finish with much more aplomb than, say, a player like Theo Walcott on Arsenal could, because obviously he plays on the right wing, he's right-footed, so it's much harder for him to get a good shooting angle on his stronger foot. And obviously he's got very good ball control, very good dribbling and decent shooting, and again, these are stats that I like in my attacking players because they can quickly get past the player with a ball control or using their dribbling, and then obviously shoot, and we want lots of shots, so it's important that he can take some of those chances. Not so important that he's very good at tackling. And then attacking position, more important for the wingers than vision, because obviously he's not going to create a huge amount of chances, he's more to finish them or quickly pass to someone who's close by. He doesn't really need to see long passes very often. So that's all good. He's obviously a player I want to play there. Then again, attacking wise, quick, not very strong, but that's okay because he doesn't have to hold on to the ball for long periods of time. Now we've got Soldado. He's kind of balanced, he's got a bit of pace, a little bit of strength. He's kind of a jack of all trades in terms of strikers, but his attacking positioning is very good, which as a lone striker needs to be, because obviously it's going to be him versus two centre-backs and maybe a couple of holding players, meaning that he's got to find the space for me to pick him out, and then obviously for him to try and get a chance on goal or play someone else in. He's got decent ball control. His finishing is very good. So if he gets a chance, he'll probably score from it. I'll check the. Okay, so he's got weak foot 3 stars. It's not great, but I think he'll be able to get goals. Despite that, you'll see he's got a speciality of poacher. This basically means all his abilities to do with shooting are going to be very good if he's in the sort of around the penalty area. This is basically sort of a boost once you've got to a certain level of stats. You can easily look at a player and go, okay, he's a speedster and he's a poacher, so he's going to be quick and he's going to be good at finishing, kind of easier to look. If I went to one of the defensive players, say Vertonghen, if I look at his specialities, he doesn't have any. One of them, okay, yeah, Carl Walker, he's got speedster, because as you can see here, he's very quick, so it's just a sort of a summary of his stats. And then on the left wing, I've got Nasser Chadli. Now, he isn't hugely quick for the wingers I want. I'd like him a little bit quicker. He's reasonably strong, so he's kind of well balanced, but my wingers, I prefer them to be quick, like speedily cut in, shoot, and then get another phase of play started. So maybe I might look at getting another left winger, or looking in my squad to see if I've already got someone who could fit that role. So I look at Chadley, okay, no, not quite quick enough. So if I look down, I've got Lennon. So Lennon is very quick, he's not particularly strong, and his reactions are still about the same. But overall, he's got more stats suited to what I would like. Then I look at their stats. So Lennon is traditionally a right midfielder. He's a little bit shorter. He's weak stuff there. Everything's pretty much the same, apart from Lennon's a little bit more inclined to attack more. So if I go down, then they've both got sort of similar stats, with Lennon being a little bit lower on overall, but being better in certain areas. So I might swap him with Lennon. Whenever you compare players, you only get one position they can play, and they may be able to play in a couple. So, but no, Lennon can only play on the right midfield. Now, I'm playing him out of position, but I am happy with his stats that he can play there. He won't be as good, I think, as someone who can specifically play there, say like Lamela can play on the right wing, but he, I feel, is better than Chadley, even though he's got left wing as his actual position. This is purely because he's quicker, and I want them to be able to bomb down and quickly create chances for Soldado and shoot themselves, and I feel this pace is going to be helpful. My bench is a bit disorganised, but what I probably have is Defoe there, maybe 2 midfielders and a defender. I think Yunus Kabul. Oh, Yunus Kabul's rated 80. And is he quicker? Yeah, he's quite quick actually. And he's got good aggression interceptions, and he's got very good shot power apparently. I don't know why I'd need that. Maybe good for free kicks from long range. So actually I think I might play Yunus Kabul instead of Dawson, purely because obviously I'm pressing the opposition, so speed is imperative to all players on the team. Even if it's not a huge amount of speed, it needs to be more than the average player would have. So normally centre-backs are quite slow. He has more than the average centre-back just to help with the way we're going to play. And he's also 1 point overall higher, and then obviously you can see speciality strength. If I go down here, there's Adebayor's not as good as Defoe, so I'm going to keep Defoe in the team. Dembele is going to be better than Sigurdsson, and he can also play in central midfield, central defensive midfield. So basically, he's going to be a good substitution. Say if Eriksen's tired, then he can come on for Eriksen. If Paulinho's tired, he can come on for Paulinho, and obviously Sandro he can replace if he's tired. So he's a good jack of all trades, a good substitute to have, even though he might get a bit annoyed at that later on in the season. And then Holtby is more of an attacking player, so I think those two give good balance. I would probably drop Townsend for a centre-back if I can... oh no, sorry, I've got a centre-back on the bench. I'd drop him for one of my wide players. So Carl Norton's quite young, so if I swap him out, then I can move there. So I've got two defenders, so I can replace one of my centre-backs or one of my wing-backs. I've got my two midfielders, and then I've got my two attacking players. One can replace one of the wingers, and one can replace the striker. So I'm going to have options from the bench to change any area of my team or any specific position. Now, if you look here, I've got Sigurdsson 77, Adebayor 79, etc, etc. These players are quite good, so throughout the season I'm going to have to make sure I give those players as many appearances as possible. Or if you see here, they've got morale. If that drops too low, then they complain. They won't sign new contracts, and they may also ask for a transfer to another club. So, and they also might not perform as well as possible. So it's good to make sure that you keep all your players happy. But apart from those players, I think everyone else is they're kind of youngsters, so you can get away with not playing them and they won't really bother. Or you could also send them out on loan so they can play at other clubs to gain experience and improve. Now that I've gone through all that, we know that I might want a left back and maybe a left winger. I tell you what, we've got good spare wingers. We'll go for a left back. That'll be our signing, and then also I'm going to talk through using the global transfer network. Okay, and now obviously we're going into the global transfer network. So you get 3 scouts at the beginning. Depending on your club is how good they are. You might say if you're Madrid, I think they get 4 scouts, and they are better. Essentially, you can see here they've got judgment, a few stars at the bottom. So I've got 3-star and 2 2-stars. If I went to hire a scout, you can see here exactly the same as the youth team scouts. You get judgment, which is how good the players or how accurate their view of the players is going to be, and then experience is how many players that they can scout. So there aren't any really good scouts there at the moment. Maybe I could go for the 4-star scout, but I think I'm going to leave it for now and just use my current scouts. Obviously the 3-star I want to send to England because he's the best, and that is where I think it's the only country with about 4 leagues down overall. Yep, so you got the Premier League, the Championship League 1 and League 2, so obviously that's a greater pool of players that he can scout with. So I'm going to send him there, and he's just going to head off, and you can see there in transit it takes 1 or 2 days. 2 days it says in that huge box there that I clearly missed. I think I'm just going to scout the main league, so I'm going to send 1 scout to England, this one's going to go to Spain, and I like Germany as well, so of the major leagues I'm going to send him there. Obviously when I get more scouts I can scout maybe Italy and France as well. And then you get instructions. Now, each one of these instructions is essentially one that will be sent to the scout. So each one of these scouts will receive 6 instructions, and they will all follow them through in order to find the best players in each region from the instructions you've given them. So essentially if I set up here, I say I would like, we said we've got problems at left back, so I can send them to look for a left back. I want them to be pacey because obviously they need to get down the line quickly. Defensive minded I believe is the sort of mental attributes, the sort of interceptions and aggression, and it probably also factors in reactions as well, so I'm going to click on that. I don't need a younger player because I've got Danny Rose, who is likely to improve. But you've got lots of these, so for example that would be what I would look at, and also go first team quality. I found when I was manager of Madrid that first team quality players were very rare because I think it just searches for, takes an average of your starting 11 and searches for players around that rating. Now obviously if you're Madrid, that rating is going to be very high, so obviously the amount of players that you can then search for is going to be quite narrow. Whereas when I was manager of Udinese, Villa, etc, etc, when I searched for first team quality, there's actually a lot of players because we're a lower, not as good team, so there's going to be more players around the level that we want. So once you've ticked your boxes for what you want from your scout, you can just go off and keep changes, and there it is, it will appear there, and you can see you get days scouted and players found. Now the longer you scout, the more likely you are going to, well, the more likely you're going to find players for that instruction. And then obviously players found is how many you've got within that particular report. Now if I click A on that report, you can see at the moment no players found, and it gives me a sort of overview of what I wanted, so pacey, defensive minded and first team quality. If you searched for, say, broader, so you just wanted to look for pacey players, then you can easily sort all the players in your group by just going to these tabs here. So if I say I wanted a pacey attacker, I could just go to the attacking panel. If I wanted a midfielder, I'd go to there, or a defender, go to there. So that makes things quite easy. I'm going to search for another player. So maybe I want a young striker, because Defoe's quite old, Adebayor is a bit hit and miss, and Soldado is also getting on a bit. So I want a striker with a bit of an aerial threat. Not so important that he's pacey, but I'm going to click promising. Prolific obviously means he's going to. I want him to score lots of goals, and strong. Maybe no, I'm going to leave tall. I just want him to be good at heading. So obviously promising is on, so he's going to be a younger player who's got potential to improve if I give him first team experience. But there are lots of different needs, so essentially whatever player you want, then you can just tick the appropriate box. So I want position striker, and then obviously I want a younger player, so I'm going to lower this down to 24. So that scout, now that I've selected keep changes, all the scouts are now going to search for a left back and a striker according to the instructions I've given them. You don't have to set all the instructions up, but you can only set a maximum of 6 instructions up. So for now I'm just going to leave those two, and I will obviously explain further when I actually get the reports back from the scouts, what they give you and what options you get from there. Now, I also said I wanted to sign a left back, and because I have no scouting reports at the moment, I am just going to go and buy a left back that I know is already good. So I want to buy Marcelo, who is Real Madrid's left back. He is like my other left backs, or my other wing backs. He's pacey. He wants to get forward quickly. Here, he's a well-known player, so I know everything about him. I know his value is about £10 million. His wage is about 100,000, and he's got decent stamina, crossing, etc, etc. So I go, okay, he's going to be able to run for ages. He's got good ball control, so in my system where I want them to press and then be able to pass the ball out from the back, that's going to work perfectly. Then obviously you can see his sliding, tackling and other attributes are pretty good. I think if I go off this and just press the right stick in, I can get all of his stats. So yep, I can see here he's quick. He's got very good defensive mind. He's got good ball control. And he's also got good tackling. So he's got everything I could want in a wing-back, because he is one of the best wing-backs in the world. He's going to want to attack more than defend, but I kind of want that. He's left-footed, and he's 5'9", so he's not the tallest of players. So in terms of defending set pieces, isn't going to add a huge amount to my side, but that's what the centre-backs are for. So you can sit here, go on here, just clicking A, and you can ask for a scout report, but we don't need that because we already know how good the player is. I can add him to my shortlist, which I'm going to do because I want to track him, and I'm going to inquire. This will essentially ask the club, okay, do you want to sell him? If so, how much? And they're going to give you an offer. So they might go, okay, he's worth 10 million, but we think we can get more out of Tottenham. They'll go, we want 15. And then I'll look at that, I'll go, okay, I'm not going to pay 15, I might bid maybe 13. And a lot of the time on this FIFA, clubs are a lot more lenient with the values you can offer from their players. If I also click on Approach Real Madrid, you'll see here that my chief executive reckons that a bid between 14 and 17 million is what's going to be required to get Marcelo to join our club. So I'm just going to quickly skip back to the main screen. And if we go to my inbox here, you can see the assistant manager says that I've got scouts en route, but there's no instructions. But as I said, we've shown the instructions. And then also it's seen here. Here you've done the instructions now. The next step is waiting for the scouts to go to their relative countries and then bring back reports on the players I've asked them to. Okay, so now I'm at the point where I can just click advance. And I get my EuroLeague objective, which is to win the cup, which is obviously what I said I wanted to aim for, to prepare us for Champions League football next season. And then here's my Marcelo inquiry. They've said they want 23 million. Now, I'm of the opinion that he's not worth that much. I reckon I can get him for maybe 16, I hope. So I'm going to submit that offer and hope they accept. What I also haven't done is I've not gone through the squad and see what members of the squad I can actually get rid of. So if I go here, I can sort them all by position, by either X on an Xbox controller or circle on a PlayStation controller. I've got my 3 keepers, 4 keepers actually, but Brad Friedel's retiring at the end of the year, so it might be good to keep Gomez around just in case Lloris gets injured. I've got my 4 players at the back and a youngster who is 26 and loaned out for the season. Now, when he gets back from loan next season, I'll probably sell him. Obviously, I've got Vertonghen, Kabul, Dawson, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his name until I actually find out what it is properly, not to do him any sort of injustice. Aso Okoto's been loaned out, so next season I'll probably sell him. I've got, see, Fryers here, he's 20, he's 62. He's not really going to get into the first team setup, so I'm going to click on him and I'm going to look down the list, and I want him to go on loan for the season to get some experience. Now, I've got 2 other left backs, Norton, who's 24, Rose, who's 23. I actually want to improve Rose and use him as my reserve strikers and Marcelo, who is our main transfer target, but I'm not so sure about Norton. He's a bit older, he's not quite as good. I think he's better just to sell, so I'm going to click add to transfer list and hope I get an offer for him. Right backs, I've got Walker, Smith and Michael Purcell. Now, Smith is 67 and been loaned out, and I've got Purcell's 58. Now, I will probably, if Walker gets injured or tired, use either one of my left backs to cover for him or one of the centre backs in that position. I will probably go for maybe Danny Rose as my reserve left back and play him on the right back just so he gets more game time, and then also I can play Marcelo so he doesn't get angry. So, and I'll probably send Michael Purcell off on loan to get him some first team experience. Now I've got my midfielders, Dembele, Eriksson, Holtby, Sigurdsson. I want to make sure all of those are played as much as possible, and I've got a lot of midfield positions, so obviously they're going to be important. I've got Capoue and Sandro as my deeper players, who again I both want to keep around at the club. Again here I've got Bentaleb. I want to loan him out because he's not good enough for the first team, so it's better that he goes out and gets some experience elsewhere. Obviously Paulinho I want to keep. Chadley I want to keep. Fredericks again is quite young, so I want to add him to my loan list to get him some improvements. I want to keep Lennon, Lamella and Townsend in the club because I think I can improve Townsend by using him as a reserve to Lamella, and then obviously Lennon's going to play on the left even though he is technically a right midfielder. Kane again, a bit young. Don't think he's going to get any first team experience because I've got 3 first team strikers who are quite good, so I'm going to put him on the loan list again. And then I've got Lancaster, he needs to go on the loan list. And whenever I take over a new club, I always just go through the squad, see who I want to loan out, just to make sure all these are set. And then obviously at January I tend to review it again, and then obviously next season I'll review it. Have the youngsters improved enough to be given a chance in the first team? If so, keep them. If not, loan them out for another season. If, say, they get to the age of 24, they're still not going anywhere, I tend to sell them just to make a bit of money back and try and get some more youngsters from the youth academy into my first team and try and improve them. Again, he needs to go on loan. I think I might, because £70,000 for Adebayor is a lot per week. He's 79, so he's not one of the 2 best strikers at the club, so I think I'm going to add him to the transfer list and try and move him on. I have a lot of young strikers in this side. And then obviously I've got Soldado, he's my main striker, he's got to stay. And then Defoe is going to be my main reserve striker. He's also going to stay. 81 and 84 are good ratings. Now, Defoe's 30. On this game, if I didn't give him loads of appearances, his stats will start to drop off quite quickly. Age tends to affect faster players much quicker on this game, and tends to affect the players much quicker in general than on the previous FIFA. So it is important that when I sell Adebayo, I either get a young striker in or aim to improve one of Kane, Clubia or Abika. That is basically all of that. I'm going to quickly advance, see if Real Madrid accept my offer for Marcelo. No, they said my £16 million bid was unacceptable, but they've now lowered their demand from 23 million to 17.5 million. So I'm going to offer them 17.5 million. They'll accept, and then obviously I'm going to go through the contract negotiations for Marcelo, which shouldn't take too long. And after that, I'm going to get him in the squad, and then whatever money I've got remaining from my transfer budget, I'm going to spend on the youth academy. So that will be in the next episode. So I'll probably go through finishing the signing of Marcelo, setting up your youth scouts and being able to get some younger players in, and also I will go through what my scouts have brought back from the profiles I set on the global transfer network. Obviously he said he can't find anyone in England at the moment. I'm pretty sure given a couple more weeks he will be able to find someone, but we'll have to wait and see. But thanks for watching, guys. Sorry it's been such a long episode, but I will put little markers on the video saying, okay, you know what the global transfer network is. Skip over the first half of the video, or if you don't really want to bother about the tactics, you can skip to whatever place in the video. But I hope it's been informative and give you some ideas. Obviously you can do whatever you want. Whatever I say might not be right. It's just my opinion on what I think I like to do and what gets me results. You could get results from an entirely different set of tactics or scouting methods, but this is just what I do. Maybe you can use it as a guide or a reference point, whatever you want. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to watch extra episodes. I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.